You are listening to Minor Metrics Complete for August 31st. This show was powered by a script written by Lockfox of Eve Prosper. This show is aimed at players participating in the mining profession and is intended to get you the most ISK per unit in both the minerals and ice markets. I'm finally back after hiatus and will continue with the show in the same format. If you'd like to discuss the show with me in real time, feel free to join the show's Discord server via the link in the description below. We'll start where we normally do with minerals, and our first mineral, as always, is Tritanium. The movement on Tritanium over the last few months has been very good, with a nearly complete return of value from the introduction of the Rorqual changes. This is very surprising, and certainly should not be behaving this way. Zooming in, we can see our RSI has been scraping the top of our 70% line, and our growth has slowed down dramatically. These qualities indicate a future drop down to the correct price. As a result, I would recommend liquidating Tritanium at the moment to take advantage of this price. Pyrite is not experiencing the same recovery, unfortunately. While there's been a slight climb over the last few weeks, we're still looking like we're moving around the trough we entered with the introduction of capital mining. Zooming in, we can see that we're at a peak for the moment. The price is topping out the RSI just like it did a couple months ago. As a conservative kind of guy, I would recommend selling Pyrite now to catch this local peak. Mexilon is continuing its trend of being amazing today. Once again, we've returned to a yearly high, and it's a great time to sell. Zooming in, we can see the RSI has actually crept above the 70% mark for the last few weeks. I can't imagine a better sell signal, and I would jump at the chance to cash out. Next, we have Isagen as an echo to our Pyrite movements, with a trough still holding the price low. Zooming in, we can see, again, a local peak, but the movement is even less drastic than Pyrite. I can't help but to recommend doing nothing at all with your Isagen. A much more robust recovery is needed to consider a sale of this mineral. Noxium is showing a massive recovery from the capital mining introduction, so much so that our price has actually returned to a yearly high, although trading right around the same price as before the changes. Zooming in, we can see our RSI is bouncing off the 70% line repeatedly over the last week. Much like Tritanium, this price can't last forever, and in fact must come back down due to the nature of the supply of the market. I recommend liquidating Noxium now to catch this peak. Isagen has been behaving very interestingly over the last few weeks with a massive jump in price, so much so that our current price is rivaling the peak 7 months ago. Zooming in, we can see that our RSI is telling us that the price cannot possibly last. This price has pushed the strength well above the 70% line for over a week. This value has to come crashing back down at some point. I would take advantage of our current situation and get your Isagen out the door as quickly as possible. By comparison, Megasite's recent movements have been very tame. We can see we've been moving around a slightly lowered trough at the moment. Zooming in, we can see a recent peak and a slow back off from it. We've been here for a while, and I don't think it's a bad idea to sell Megasite and take advantage of our slightly elevated price. I don't think we'll see any kind of jump for a while. For the last of our minerals, we have Morphite, with a rapid climb beginning to rival the peak we had 8 months ago. Zooming in, we can see this RSI is bouncing off the 70% mark. This is a great sale price and should be taken advantage of. Make sure to liquidate and get the Morphite out of your hangars. Now we'll move on to ice products, starting with heavy water. We can see a recent peak with a drop down to a trough slightly above our previous one. Zooming in, we can see how dramatic our peak and drop really is. Our current price is a bit of a toss-up in my opinion. We could go either way, and I wouldn't predict anything solid. As a conservative play, I would recommend selling now, as we can see in our price history that we can go a bit lower than we are. Liquid ozone is as stable as ever, with basically no noticeable movement. And zooming in, we can see just how stable we are. If you need to liquidate, I would, as the price is not going to change anytime soon, but it may be a better idea to sit and wait for a hike. I just can't tell you when that peak will happen. Strontium Clathrates is going through a growth period, along with the rest of our markets. Growth is slight, but noticeable. Zooming in, we can see how slight the growth is. We can see a bit of downward volatility over the last few days, but remember with the recent military action, this price might eventually rise substantially. I suspect, however, it won't, due to the powers engaged all having their own supply lines for this kind of stuff. Still, there's a chance. I would recommend selling 80% of your stock on a good day of upward volatility, and holding 20% and watching out for that possible jump. Helium Isotopes took a dip 2 months ago, but has rebounded up to its previous level with a slow growth. Zooming in, we can see by reaching up to our old standard price that we're hitting the top of our RSI again. I personally don't buy this indicator, and I think we'll be trading at our standard price for the foreseeable future. If you've been holding on to helium and waiting for a rebound, now is the time to sell as the value of this commodity has returned. Otherwise, this is just an underperforming market that doesn't really matter. Hydrogen isotopes are climbing with the rest of our markets, although the action is definitely slight. Zooming in, we can see the day ended with a bit of upward volatility. Given the stability of our price history, I would recommend selling off your hydrogen and taking advantage of this hike. We still haven't reached price parity, but we won't be seeing that until we're closer to the mining platform release in winter. Oxygen isotopes have gone through quite a few price resets over the last few months. Overall, this reset is slowly decreasing over time. This is a direct result of the overvaluing of this isotope in comparison to the rest of the isotopes on the market. This staggered drop will continue all the way through the winter release at the very least. Zooming in, we can see that our price resets regularly jump quite a ways up very rapidly. I would recommend waiting for one of these jumps and then taking the opportunity to get out of the market. Nitrogen isotopes in particular are incredibly interesting. Nitrogen was very overvalued for a really long time, and the market reacted appropriately about 4 months ago with a large sell-off and a precipitous drop in value. This sell-off undervalued that price, and the value has balanced out at a new level. Zooming in, we can see that this rebound has stalled out and has reached a period of stability. This price is going to bounce back again, as I believe the fair price is actually at a lower level than we're at today. As a result, I would sell nitrogen immediately to cash out on the crest of this wave as it balances around the fair price. Thank you all for watching. This has been Minor Metrics. Be sure to stay tuned for the next episode.